I hope it will be available soon.
And Mehmet asked on the public chat that will you upload to the weekly folders later on the class?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
As I know, everything is fine. Yeah. Are you? Yes. Okay. Good. Let's start. Please start also recording. We already recorded. This is the lesson overview. Today, I will give you introduction information about the oil and the gas industry. I'm going to talk historical evaluation of the oil industry, to share information, actors, and the market. I will also share with you some theory coming from the world system theory. This is one of the international political schools. And then we will also share with you the practical example from the experience of Pakistan and Azerbaijan. I am going to explain what's the cost, price, and the demand effects. And then we will conclude in the end of our class. We will have time to divide you into two groups. And also we have the group work about the differences between oil and the gas and the mining sector. Let's go forward. And first, let me explain my teaching methods. As Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. I'm going to explain the simply because I know you are representative in the different fields. Some of you has very good knowledge from the economic side, some of you from the political side, some of you also has the experience as a representative of the think tank organization, some of you living in your country where every day also involve the discussion regarding the revenue management, regarding the also civil society participation and the think tank participation in this process. And I hope it will be easy understandable for you because first of all, I would like to be sure that you will better understand all of concept and the theory, all of the practical examples. And I'm not going to use the narrow economic terms. We don't have any the textbook. We are going to share with you some reading material. I already shared one of them. You will. I hope you will have time for the next our course. You will be ready. This is the publication of the Michael Ross, one of the very popular the scholar in the political economy of the natural resources. Before the presentation, I would like to ask you some basic question to get now about your knowledge, economic knowledge of the your of the extractive industry and the research-rich countries. First of all, I would like to ask you some question. As I know, some of you are living in the country where the country rich with the oil and the gas resources. Some of you are living in the country where the country also country rich with the minerals, and some country also rich with the minerals and the oil and the gas resources as well. But first of all, I would like to ask you, maybe some of you will give me some information about the difference between the mining and the petroleum sector. And what's the main differences between the mining and the petroleum sector? I want to say that I am interested in differences in the fiscal regime, in the legal regime, in the investment context, and who is going to start first. In the context of the investment policy, in the context of the fiscal regime, in the context of the legal regime, what's the differences between the mining and the petroleum sector? You can also include your response in the chat box. Again?
If you can hear me, or at least
Yes, we are hearing you very well.
Okay, for me, the big difference between oil and gas, or oil on the one hand, and all the other mining sectors, is that oil and natural gas usually require large corporate investments over time, whereas I've never heard of artisanal oil and gas mining. Whereas mining itself can be small mom and pop operations, small families, and it can be the whole way to big corporations. So I would say that the scope and the investment and the risk involved would be one big difference.
Thanks so much. Exactly. You are right. Is there any other reflection, another comment? If not, let's go to the second question. Second question is very, very simple. What crude oil prices are considered as low, high, and the average? Most probably, most of you are following the price in the world market. Do you know what's the current price right now? Somebody can include the chat box, the price of the crude oil, maybe Brent and the WTI price. It's around the $40. Okay, $40. This is the low or high or average price. What do you think? $40, it's high or average? What's your estimation about the price? $40. This is the average crude oil price, and the between $40 and the $70. It's this interval for the average crude oil price. And the high crude oil price is above the $70 per barrel, and the low crude oil price is below $40 per barrel. Okay, let's go. I have one of the also respond from the Coperian. He mentioned the average. Yes, you are right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's go this another question. What are the differences between the light and the heavy and the sweet and the sour crude oil? Did you heard about the sweet crude oil? Maybe first time are you hearing this sweet crude oil? What's the differences? Let me explain. Light crude oil has a lower density and it flows freely at room temperature. It has higher price than heavy crude oil because it produces a higher percentage of the gasoline or diesel fuel. And some countries, as you know, the oil price is higher than other countries. For example, the Brent oil price higher than WTI oil price. Why? Because the Brent oil, light crude oil, and the light crude oil also one of the main the gas for the Boeing, for the Airbus, for the plane, And also, as I said, it produce a higher percentage of the gasoline or diesel fuel. But in United States, the cost of the diesel fuel higher than regular gas. But in some countries, for example, in my home country, in the Azerbaijan, cost of the diesel fuel less than regular gas. Let's go the another question. Maybe you will help me to respond to this question. What are the differences between the WTI and the Brent crude oils? Some of you can explain what are the differences between the WTI and the Brent crude oil. What means the WTI and the Brent crude oil? Two different types of the oil and the different oil extraction methods. Yes, Charlie, I am agree with your response. WTI is in the USA and the Brent in Europe. Yes, you are right. WTI is also known as Texas Light, Civet Light. Oil, it is sourced from the US, as a Charlie, including the information in the chat book. And it is extracted from the north, it's extracted in the Texas, Oklahoma, and the North Dakota. Let me go to Brent. Brent is the leading global price benchmark for the Atlantic basin crude oil. It is extracted from the North Sea. Both WTI and the Brent are considered as a sweet crude oil. WTI is better for the production of the gasoline, while Brent is good for the production of the diesel. Always the price of the Brent higher than the price of the WTI. The price of the Russian Urals is close to the price of the WTI. The price of the Azeri Light, this is the Azerbaijan oil, crude oil, is close to the Brent crude oil price. Okay, let's go the what does means the upstream, midstream, and the downstream. Did you heard about the upstream, midstream, and the downstream?
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Well, I know upstream and downstream. I'm assuming midstream is in the middle. Upstream is all of the investments and activity necessary before you start drilling, and downstream is after you have your results, the processing of the products. For example, turning petroleum into plastic. Is that correct? Midstream would be in the middle.
Yeah, this is the. I will inform the. I have some slide for the upstream and the midstream and the downstream. Upstream, this is mostly focused on exploration and the field development and the production operation. And then started the midstream. Midstream, it means that transportation, processing, and the storage and the distribution. Downstream, manufacturing, refining, and the petrochemicals, wholesales, and the marketing also part of the downstream. We will discuss later about the upstream, downstream, and the midstream. Let's go what are the member countries? OPEC plus. OPEC plus, do you know OPEC and the OPEC plus, most probably. And how many countries member of the OPEC? Which countries do you know? And how many countries member of the OPEC plus? And which country join OPEC plus? Could you share some information about the countries part of the OPEC, countries part of the OPEC plus in your chat? I am waiting your response. I'm not going to yes, OPEC, Venezuela, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. And I want to start our presentation. What's the difference between oil cartel OPEC and the OPEC plus? Please add your information in the chat book. Now, let me first explain the differences between the mining and the petroleum sector. It was the first question. Let me first to present institutional differences. And the three main institutional differences between the mining and the petroleum sector. First, the use of the national resources companies has been significantly less successful to date in mining than in oil and the gas. The second differences is that with respect to revenue collection, the National Taxation Authority will usually tend to have a greater influence than the Minister of Finance in the mining sector. Why? Because the mining sector mostly operated in the local level, in the municipality level. And the last one, the commercial structures in the sectors will differ. In petroleum project, unincorporated joint venture are common, and for tax or financing reasons, such as the risk spreading or possible reasons connected with the technology. By contrast, in mining, such joint ventures are much less common, and they are set up after the discovery and appraisal of deposit to facilitate commercial development. Often, they also measure companies. Let me also to draw your attention key differences between the mining and the petroleum sector in general, not in the institutional context. The overriding significance of the exploration in the investment in the petroleum sector contrasts with the mining. In mining, systematic drilling follows are slower, deductive process of surveying and the surface sampling over a relatively smaller area. The scale of the rents is often much higher in oil than in mining. This is the linking to a different structure of risk and the reward, with oil having more of the both. Procedures for contract, award, and the security of the tenure differ. Legal frameworks is different. Detailed legislation is favored in mining, while similar detail is typically found only in model contract in the oil and the gas sector. Most probably in the oil, in the gas sector, more countries and many countries are using the production sharing agreement. And state-owned companies have been much less prominent in the mining sector than in the hydrocarbon sector. The petroleum sector often use a production sharing contract, as I said, just which is non-existing in the mining sector. Let me add also some other differences. The prevalence of the artisanal miners, this is the again mentioned about the artisanal miners, distinguishes mining from the petroleum and the present important policy issues. Taxation also in mining in the difference and in the oil sector, taxation in the mining tends to favor royalty and the profit tax, while in the petroleum sector, the widespread use the production sharing presents a more complex picture with a wider range of the taxation rate being common to. A different balance of the capital and operating costs in the oil industry makes costs higher at the front end. Mining has high capital costs, but needs more people during the production, ongoing equipment investment, and the continuous management of the local environmental impact. the environmental impact in the mining sector is higher than environmental impact. I am talking the negative environmental impact higher than in the mining sector. Mining sector higher than in the oil sector. Mining is a more fragmented and geographically spread than oil, and the numerous product which is in different forms instead of the few relatively homogeneous product which is the non-existing in the mining sector. There is a question coming from the Charlie. Charlie asking, is deep sea mining more like petroleum from the exploration perspective? But deep sea mining, yes, there is some similarity deep sea mining with the petroleum in the context of the exploration. I agree with Charlie, and but now I made the parallel between the petroleum sector and the mining, which is the traditionally we are talking about mining sector in the field, and that's why there is a big difference between the mining sector and the petroleum sector. Why I focus the mining sector and the petroleum sector comparative analysis, because it's also very important in the context of the political economy. And as you know, the oil sector has more impact of the political decisions than mining sector. But it depends on the countries. As I again mentioned, the mining sector mostly spread in the artisanal manners, but oil sector based on the very big projects. That's why the impact of the oil sector, impact of the oil contract to the politics, and also political impact to the production sharing agreement, also very, very high. And yes, please, if you have the question, please ask me, and you can ask. You can also include your question in the box, in the chat box. Let me also add some information about the OPEC. OPEC, as you know, the organization of the petroleum exporting countries. Why I am going to give you additional information, because it's also very important in the context of the political economy. Here you can see some the list of the countries of the OPEC. OPEC members now 13 plus OPEC plus 10 countries join OPEC plus, and the OPEC plus is currently a group of the 23 countries. And as you see in the list of the OPEC members, most of them, 5 countries from the Persian Gulf countries. And the OPEC and the Persian Gulf countries are not the same. The organization of the OPEC was organized in the 1960s for the purpose of the negotiating with the oil companies on the matters of the oil production, price, and the future concession right. And as you see, the list of the OPEC members, certain OPEC members countries at the beginning of the 2020, but the OPEC headquarters located in the Vienna in Austria. The purpose of the OPEC is to coordinate and unify the petroleum policies of its member countries and ensure the stabilization of the oil market in order to secure an efficient, economic, and regular supply of petroleum to consumers, a steady income to producers, and fair return on capital for those investing in the petroleum industry. OPEC members collectively supply about 41.9% of the world's crude oil production. That's why the impact of OPEC members' decision is very, very influential. If OPEC involve also OPEC plus countries, and the OPEC members control about the 79.4% of the world's total proven crude reserves. As you see, the reserve is higher than production. Production almost 42% of the world's crude oil, and the reserves, I'm talking about the proven crude reserves, almost 80% in the world. And the OPEC member countries monitor the market and decide collectively to rise or lower of oil production in order to maintain stable prices and the supply. As you know, each quarter they have the regular meeting, and they decide in the second quarter in this year, in the current year, in the April, to reduce the export for the OPEC members, and the OPEC plus member also joins this decision. They targeted to reduce the 10 million barrel per day, but the decision was around the 9.7 million barrel per day. And the OPEC plus countries also join this decision. That's why, as you know, the price was very, very low, around the $20-30, and after the decision of the OPEC, the price in the world market increased. Now we have the stable price around the $40 per day. And some countries was part of the OPEC. For example, the Ecuador was part of the OPEC between the 1973 and 1992. Most probably, you know what happened in the 1973. 1973 in the world was very, very high. Also, shock of the oil price. Oil price fall in that time, dropped $3 per barrel. In that time, the Ecuador joined to the OPEC, and then in the 1992, Ecuador left OPEC. And the second time, 2007, Ecuador again joined the OPEC, and this year Ecuador left OPEC. Last year, Qatar left OPEC. Qatar was one of the also founder of the OPEC, and joined the 1961, but Qatar left OPEC 2019, and the Qatar decision explains that Qatar is going to focus mostly the production of the gas, not oil. So that's why they left the OPEC member. Indonesia was part of the OPEC between the 1962 and the 2009, and then Indonesia also joined again the OPEC in 2016, but only for 1 year. The OPEC they also left OPEC in the same year. And OPEC, one of the, as I said, the influential organization in the world oil market. I'm going to give you some information about the reserves, oil reserves in the world. This is the 2018 data, and also present by the OPEC annual statistical bulletin for the 2019. As you see, OPEC control almost 80% of the world reserves and the proven crude oil. And mostly the reserve high in the Venezuela. Venezuela reserve account for 25.5%, and then Saudi Arabia 22.4%, and then Islamic Republic Iran 13%, Iraq 12%, Kuwait 84.5%. You can see in this list there's some countries reserve in the world reserve of the proven crude oil according to the OPEC annual statistical bulletin. Here also you can see the geographical location of the oil reserves. 80% of the world's accessible reserves are in the Middle East. And the main countries in this area, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Qatar, and the Kuwait has a very huge reserve of the crude oil. This is the list of the 10 oil reserves countries. And I want also share some information about the producing the countries, oil producing countries. It's a top 5 between the 1980 and the 2019. You can see here 6 countries because the United Soviet Socialist Republic exists until the 1989, almost the 1990. That's why here, even 1991, it started the collapse 1989, and then the new independence countries regained independence in 1991, and some countries 1992. That's why here you can see the crude oil production in the USSR, and then you can see here crude oil productions in the Russia. But this one, blue one, shows the United States. As you see, United States share in the production in the world higher than Russia, and the green one, Saudi Arabia also less than Russia. This is the 3 main countries in the world. They have very high the production. Yeah, you can see the production by country between the 1980 and the 2015. 1980, former Soviet Union, the share was very high, and then it was the 19%, and then United States, and then Saudi Arabia. But now United States first place, second place Russia, and the first place here you can see first place in the Saudi Arabia. But in that time, the world production was 64 million barrel per day. But 2015, world production increased 96 million barrel per day. It means that demand for the oil, crude oil, increased during the 25 years. This is also information about the 1989 additional information. You can see the Soviet Union in the first place, and they produce annually per day 12.1 million barrels. This is the not annually, this is the per day. And here, world historical and the projected natural gas production. This is not oil, this is the natural gas production. We are waiting the high level of the natural gas production in 2030. If you ask the oil production was peak in 2019. This year, due to the pandemic, oil production dropped, and because the demand dropped during the pandemic period for the energy resources. And let me also add some additional information about the 2018 December top 10 oil producing countries. And according to the US Energy Information Administration. Top 3 countries here, this is the United States, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. They together produce almost 45% of the total the production in the world. You can see the more information, but please take into account that oil, including crude oil, all other petroleum, liquids, and the biofuels. But sometimes you can find the differences. Here, all 3 components. That's why the United States production per day is high if you compare the indicators. But this is only the crude oil. But here, the crude oil plus all other petroleum liquids and the biofuels. That's why there is a difference between the map and the table. Let's go to the consumption and then finalize this part of the presentation. And which country has more consumption? This is the United States, again, in the first place. And United States, the production almost the same level of the consumption. And production, 19% of the total world production, consumption, 20% of the total world consumption. And the second place, China, because the second biggest economy in the world belongs to China. And the first place, India, and then Japan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, South Korea, Germany, Canada. And as you see, top 10 countries, they share almost 60% of the total world consumption. And the world consumption for the 2019 was 98.7 million barrel per day. And here you can find the country's most developed economy, and the second biggest, first biggest economy, the United States and the China. That's why the consumption very high, and it means that the oil still play very important role for the economic development as well as also political decision. The countries like the United States, China, and other European. Let me finalize this part. This is the historical part. Now I want also to share with you some information about the projection of the production and the consumption, because it's very important. Right now we are living a very difficult period related the uncertainty. I have the one question. I want to stop here and respond to the question coming from the Saswati Svetlana. Why is US not a member of the OPEC? And I hope US again of the cartel decision, and US want to have the impact independently to the price of the world market. If US join to the OPEC and Russia join on the OPEC, in this case, they will control whole market of the oil and the oil production in the world. And that's why US out of this process. And Russia also is not member of the OPEC, but Russia joined the OPEC Plus because sometimes Russia want to have the impact of the price. Sometimes Russia want to negotiate the OPEC members. Why? Because Russia also has interest for the high price of the oil, because the Russia, one of the exporting countries of the oil and the oil products. And why is not US? As I said, US also use the oil price as a political weapons. Sometimes US has the interest to drop the oil price to have the impact of the countries like the Russia, the countries like the Iran. I think this is also one of the tools for the international political economy, how to impact to other countries. And that's why the US never joined OPEC. I don't think so during the Trump administration, US will join the OPEC because the Trump against the globalization. As you know, the Trump withdraw United States some international organization, and Trump administration has problem with the WTO because the US and the China trade dispute. Trump also has some problem with the NAFTA, North American trade agreement. And I want to say that during the Trump administration, it's impossible because, as I said, Trump against the collective decision and the collective action, and Trump want to present American as a American influence and the hegemony in the world, maybe one of the reasons. And there is also another information, including the Charlie, other Western oil producers, Canada, UK, Norway, are also not member. You are right, Charlie. There is not part of the OPEC. OPEC, as you see, mostly consists of the Gulf Basin countries, and but there is no countries like the developing countries like the Canada also, including the top 10 oil producers in the world, and the Norway, UK also out of this process. Let me go forward and first to share with you the projection for the future. As I said, now the time is not good because the uncertainty due to the pandemic period. Nobody knows when will end this nightmare. That's why the demand also drop for the fuel, demand drop for the energy resources. As you see here, world consumption and the world production went down, and now world consumption and the world production is going up, but according to the projection, according to the forecast, and the next year 2021 world production and the world consumption will go up, but the peak level, as you see, in 2008, even it's not 2019. Sorry, 2018, not 2019. Let me see what happened this year. The annual change in the world liquid fuels, according to the US Energy information. This is information, as you see, published in the October, very fresh, and the latest information shows that the consumption this year will go down 8.6%. This is the very high impact to the oil markets. That's why the oil price is low than compared to last year. Last year, the average price was around $65. Now we are expected around the $40. But the forecast shows that the next year the world consumption will go up. It will be 6.3%, but it's less than 8.6%. It means that in the next year we are not going to have the same level, even compared to 2019. This is information coming from the US Energy Information Administration, and this information also belongs to US Energy Administration. You can see here the production and the consumption information, supply and the demand. And as you see, the non-OPEC production, this is the share higher than OPEC production. That's why the oil, the US also including the non-OPEC production. This year, they will produce 63.8 million barrels per day, and next year they are going to increase the production, non-OPEC production, and I think it will also have the negative impact of the price during the next year. And OPEC production also will increase, additional negative impact, and you can also see here consumption. Consumption will increase. In this case, if consumption will increase, we can say that the next year oil price will stable than this year, and the non-OECD consumption also will increase. Total consumption will increase 99 million barrel per day. Let's see, and the crude oil. This is the May price went down. You can see minus. Most probably you heard about the minus price of the crude oil. It was in the May and then increased. Now we have the more stable oil price. We talk about the economies most depend on the oil. In future class, we will focus mostly the economies most depend on the oil. We will give you some example, some practice exercise from the economies most depend on the oil. But here you can see estimated oil export as percentage of the GDP in 2018. It's not in the total export. It is the export share in the GDP. Brunei is very high, more than 60%. Kuwait, second place. Libya, third place. And then the Republic of the Congo. It's not DRC. Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Algeria, and also there is the Kazakhstan from the Central Asia, and the Belarus, also former Soviet Union countries. India is the share of the export in the GDP. Society share, India is 4.5%. It's not high, even the less than compared with the Belgium. Let's see also some additional information about the biggest oil and the gas companies. You know, decision of the multinational corporation is very high, and they play very important role in the resource-rich countries. And there is also a lot of oil and the gas companies operated in the world, in the different countries. And for example, the Sinopec, this is the Chinese companies. The Sinopec world largest by the revenue in 2019. But this year, as you know, some companies lost the revenue and the profit. This year, also the Royal Dutch Shell. And thank you so much again for your joining. We received the information again. Want to leave unexpectedly. Looking forward to you in the next class in a week, and please also listen the presentation from the video file. And Charlie at comment, Timor-Leste would be highest in the world in the oil export GDP if they included natural gas and the zone of share of the sovereignty with the Australia. Thanks, very, very good point, Charlie. I agree with you. Then I was the part of the international board member of Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative. I receive a lot of information about the Timor-Leste because Timor-Leste also member of EITI, and this is very good point. And let me go back in the biggest oil and the gas companies. You can find some companies operated in your country, operated in the world. This is all of them worldwide company. as you see in the list, you can find also some Russian companies, and the Rosneft, Gazprom, Chevron from the United States, Exxon from the United States, two Chinese companies, Sinopec and the Petro China, two British companies, the BP and the Royal Dutch Shell, and also Saudi Aramco, one of the biggest, the first biggest companies, according to the Thomson Reuters, based on the company data. Total, also company belong to the France. I explain what is the upstream oil and the gas, and the midstream and downstream. Some of company operated in the all stream, not only upstream, not only midstream. And in the terms of the upstream and the downstream oil and the gas production refer for oil or the gas company location in the supply chain. That's why they divided into three groups. And the companies in the oil and the gas industry are usually divided, as you see, three groups in the context of the supply chain. And some companies are considered to be integrated because they combine the function of two or three of the group. And the upstream oil and the gas production is conducted by the companies who identify, extract, or produce raw materials, crude oil. And the downstream oil and the gas production companies are closer to the end of user or consumer. And here is look at the upstream and the downstream oil and the gas production, their individual function, and what the role they play in the broader supply chain. And the downstream, as you see, focus on the manufacturing, focus on the refining, and the petrochemical, wholesale, and the marketing as well. Upstream and the downstream, it's more company operated mostly upstream and the downstream, because there's including the transportation in the midstream, and this transportation company most time they operated independently. Let's go the next slide to see detail of the upstream, midstream, and the downstream. Downstream, this is the final level of the supply chain in the oil sector. And some conception I would like to share with you. This is the one of the international political economy schools and the theories, world system theories. And you know, the world system theories divided world into three parts: core countries, and the periphery countries, and the semi-periphery countries. And this world system theory founded by the Immanuel Wallerstein, and Immanuel Wallerstein also used the Marxism. You can see here the three different color in the world, and the red one, this is the periphery countries, and the countries like the Russia, and the countries like the Kazakhstan, and the most of the African countries, some of the Latin American countries are including the periphery countries. It means that they base on the export of the commodity. And the some countries, the China, India, even Iran, and the Brazil, and the Argentina, including the semi-periphery countries. The countries like the United States, Canada, and the European countries, Australia, New Zealand, including the Japan as well, including the core country. It's not easy to change your status to be, for example, semi-periphery and the core countries, because really world theory and shows that the countries should change structure of the export, should change of the productions, structure of the production, should diversify the economy. I want to share with you this practical exercise coming from the Pakistan and Azerbaijan. And the Pakistan textile and the cotton sector, an average accounted for 55.4% in the total export earning. This only not only the cotton production, this also including the textile production. But in Azerbaijan, crude oil export an average accounted for 88% in the total Azerbaijan export earning. This is the just information for you. Let's see what happened in the world. For the buying one iPhone 11, most probably you know the price of the iPhone 11. This is the around the 1,000 in dollar. Pakistan should sell 1,474 pound cotton. Are you imagine for the production, for the buying one phone, and the Pakistan should sell in the world market 1,474 pound the cotton. And for Azerbaijan, for the buying the one iPhone 11, we should export 25 barrel of the crude oil. You know, the 25 barrel is not a small value. It's very big value. We are selling the 25 barrel crude oil, and we are earning and our revenue enough only for the buying one iPhone 11. You can see the differences of the value added for the production of the iPhone, for the production of the crude oil, for the production of the cotton. And it's not also enough to estimate the situation, because the iPhone price steadily is going up. You can see when iPhone started, the price was $199, and then 299, 399, now 999. And it started in the 2011. Every day you can see the price is going up. But in 2011, the average world cotton price were high, around 1.55 per pound dollars. And in 2000, this is not 2018, this is in the current price, now 0.68 per pound. And the price went down for the cotton. But oil price today, and the Brent oil price was $41.7 per barrel. But in 2011, one barrel crude oil price was $111. I want to say that the price effect also has the negative to the production of the oil and the cotton, but has the positive, the production of the iPhone. And iPhone price is going up, and the cotton price, oil price is going down. And another effect, this is the demand effect and the cost effect. And demand is going down, uncertainty, but everybody want to buy iPhone because everybody want to join the remote education, join the online seminar. Everybody want to change, update and to buy the new model of the iPhone. But now the cotton price demand drop, and the demand for the oil, also crude oil, drop, as you see from my table. And demand for the iPhone, when iPhone new model started to sale, as you see the line for the demand of the iPhone, they have the very good the working condition in the factory, Apple factory in China. And I mean the price, demand, and the cost also has additional value for the production of the iPhone. It means that new product, new model, and the innovation and the technology goods has more perspective in the context of the economic development. And we are still producing the oil, we are still producing of the cotton. That's why the countries like the Azerbaijan, the countries like the Pakistan always stay in the periphery countries, never change the status, even never change status from the periphery to the semi-periphery. Only India and China can change the status. India and China were periphery countries, but they became the semi-periphery countries. Maybe in the future they will be core countries. Why? Because they invest more money to the technology, they invest more money to the innovation. In the end, I want to conclude my presentation. I want to say that the extractive industry mostly depend on the oil price, I mean oil and the gas sector, mining sector also, mining price. Now in the mining sector, the gold price is going up, but other minerals price is going down. But it means that all times the volatility revenues, we should manage volatility revenues. In the future, we will talk more about the managing of the volatility revenues. And there is also some managing process related to the large-scale project in the oil and the gas sector. But in the mining sector, we have the small artisans project. And the risk of the environment, we are going also to talk about this in the future, the environmental issues, environmental impact of the extractive industry. One of my course will focus on the environmental issues. And we should also coordinate many different interests of the stakeholders, and we should also open the production sharing agreement. Unfortunately, in the most countries, PSA contract still in the secrecy. There is a global campaign, open contracting, but still we have the problem with this. That's all I want to share with you, and thank you so much for your attention. And now I want to share the group into the class into two groups, and I need your reflection, your also analysis about the features specific to the oil and the gas and the mining sector. I want to share the group, two groups. One group will focus on the oil and the gas, another group to focus on the mining sector. And we are here, as I see, almost 10 participants. Not 10, 8. But we will also join. Let me create the breakout room and to give you how many minutes? To give you 10 minutes for the discussion. Let me also stop sharing. And Fasal, could you explain how I can stop this sharing presentation?
You need to click again the plus.
Okay.
And then you need to choose the default page. There's one, your PDF, and also the one default option.
There is only upload of the presentation and the start.
And under then it's written default and then the name of your presentation.
Unfortunately, I didn't find it. When I okay, I will do it later. But now I want to say that I divided the group, the class into two groups, and I gave also 10 minutes for the group for the determining features specific to the oil and gas and the mining sector. And the first group will focus on the oil and the gas sector, and the second group will focus on the mining sector. And I want to be sure that everybody in the different group or not yet. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am hear you, Gubad. Now you can see some people join their groups. It's written 2, 2, and 1 in their names.
Yeah, I divided the randomly group,
Yes.
but the first group should focus on the oil gas, and the second group should focus on the mining sector. But Saswati, she include the information she can't hear. Saswati, you joined the break. You okay? They received the invitation to join the breakout room. Yes.
Yes. The one only Senur and Somaye is here. If you can click on the breakout rooms at the top, you need to join. Yes. Okay. They also there.
But I want to be sure that they now who is in the group, they are hearing me or not?
No, they cannot hear from here. Only I can hear you.
How I can give them the instruction?
You need to join their breakout rooms.
Okay.
You need to
I
click
afraid
on the breakout room at the top, and you can join group 1 or group 2. I can also join one of them, and I
how I will go back then. I want to.
And again, in your area, this area will still here. When you join the breakout room, then you can also, when you click on the breakout rooms, again, in the same place, you can come back. So you can hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's written 2. So in your name, so can you see the breakout rooms sessions up of users?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, when you click on the join room 2, isn't it working?
It said that I'm already in the room, but I don't know if it work or not.
Yes, it says you're already in the room. So then probably, can you check your browser? You will see in your browser.
No, I cannot see anything in my browser.
Mm. Okay.
Can I come out and
It should be in your browser, but I don't understand really what's the problem. Maybe you can try to come back again. Yes. I'm also going to the room too to check if I can see you there. Okay.
okay.
And Sumaya, are you in group or out of group? Okay. I hope she's in the group. Everybody come back.
Only NN seems didn't come back. That's the
But
rest.
how I want to add 5 more minutes. How I can, because they need the 5 more minutes.
Yeah, but it's already closed, and you need to create again.
I think we don't have enough time, because in the 15 minutes I have a class will end. But they will come back. Yes, they will automatically join in the.
Yes, now everyone is here. I think also, can everyone hear, right? Yes, okay. Yes, everyone is here now.
Oh, okay. Okay, I hope you have, maybe it's not enough for the first time, but I think you can make the presentation on behalf of the group, because I saw that you have some notes. And let's start discussion. First, I want to ask group number 1, which they focus on the group number 1 to the oil and the gas production. I need your information, specific information about the oil and the gas sector. Could you, some of you, make the presentation on behalf of your group number 1, oil and the gas sector? Who is going to make a brief presentation?
Well, so far I know in the crew one we didn't really have any discussion. We got technical problem and not enough time. Do you hear me?
Yes, please. You can share your information. Maybe some of the group members will add some information if you want. If you,
I can. Yes, I can share about Burma, about the oil and gas exploration in Burma. So we have basically we have many like the major oil companies like the Rajah Shell, BP, Chevron, Total, and then we Burma export offshore gas to Thailand and then to China through the gas pipeline. But in regionally, Burma is one of the in the ASEAN countries. Burma is second largest or producing exporting country, and then but we still have the revenue transparency issue, and then also the revenue sharing issue. So more than we said about 50% of revenue from the gas export still missing or in call it the other accounts. We don't know where the account is. Could be in some countries in tax haven. So we have that kind of problem, and then also we have the environmental problem, also human rights problem from these oil and gas explorations.
Oh, thank you so much, Yokai, for your comments. And I am so sorry the time wasn't relevant. I mean, the 10 minutes wasn't enough. I will take into account for the future when we will work in the group. And I want to ask again from the group number 1, is there any additional comment? You want to add something? The Jokai share Yokai share with us. Maybe some of you want to add some your comment, your reflection are welcome on behalf of the Group 1 about the oil and the gas sector. But if not, in this case, we are going to ask the group number 2, and who is going to share notes on behalf of the group?
I can share notes, if that's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So the shared notes actually haven't come over here. I'll have to look at the program and see how to make that work next time. But so something that we determined, actually based on who was in our group, was I think Charlie, who's based in Timor-Leste, was pointed out that Timor-Leste, though it has a lot of hydrocarbons, does not have a prevalent mining sector. And so this is maybe an interesting comparative case where there are countries that have a very strong hydrocarbon sector, but no mining sector. But then there are, of course, countries that have strong hydrocarbon and strong mining sectors, which then makes for interesting comparison. And we concluded that some of the big differences are the tax revenue issue, that taxes are easier to collect from mining than from hydrocarbon sector. And as was pointed out in the lecture, there's less rent seeking from the mining sector than from the hydrocarbon sector. And so this is maybe an interesting case where the official state can gather more revenue from the mining sector, which is less lucrative, but maybe more transparent in revenues. But then the unofficial state, in the form of rents, can gather more rents, which of course don't go towards the official budget, from the hydrocarbon sector than the mining sector. And that this is like quite an interesting comparison in countries where both sectors exist. So that's what we've got.
Thanks so much. Thanks, it's great. Is there any additional comment from the group 2? If not, is there any question on behalf of the group? For example, if a member of the group 1 want to ask some question from the group 2, and if group 2 want to ask the question group 1, there is no question. Okay. Let me also add some the feature specific. First for the oil and the gas industries, and then the mining sector. And the national research companies remain popular in the most oil and the gas producing countries, more so than in the mining sector. And please let me know if you are not agree with my the proposition. It might also comment. And the second, usually distinct laws will be made for oil and the gas activities and for the mining of other minerals. Inevitably, these differences in the choice of the legal design appears to suggest the existing of underlying differences between of the two sets of the extraction industries. And another point, in the oil and the gas sector, a framework approach to legislation is often preferred, with a higher degree of the reliance on related model of the or standard the contract for exploration than in mining. And many times they use the production sharing agreement. This is standard the contract for the exploration. 3 types of the agreement govern the relationship between the host government and the investors in the upstream oil and the gas activities. This is the concession of the or license, and the production sharing agreement, and the risk service agreement. Only the first is commonly found in the mining sector. Mostly they use the concession of the license. Most countries, they use the license. There is a question coming from the Saswati. I have a question. Illegal mining is rampant in India, leading to huge environmental concern and the revenue loss. Is it so with the oil and the gas sector, Saswati, but is it impossible in the gas and the oil sector to have the illegal field, because it requires more, but it's possible in Syria, it's possible sometimes in Iraq, it was possible, but now it's impossible to have the illegal the field for the exploration of the oil and the gas sector. I understand your question. Thanks. This is a good question. Good question. Let me continue the it's specific to the oil and the gas sector. And most oil and the gas agreements require the contractor to purchase a proportion of its needs, goods, and the service in the host country from the local suppliers to promote linkage to the local economy. Similarly, they require a hearing preferences for the nationals of the host countries, and they use a training program to the transfer skills to create employment, but it's not characteristic in the mining sector. Stabilization clauses are commonly used in the oil and the gas agreement, and the natural gas discovery and development is commonly treated differently from oil on the basic agreement, with a longer period being given to the appraisal of gas discovery and the fiscal provision being designed to reflect its different profitability. Contract provision may require priority allocation of gas to the domestic market and or set condition to the authorization of the export sales. Gas contract contain detailed violation clauses setting out how wellhead price are to be determined. And in the oil and the gas sector require the pipeline, because it's impossible without the pipeline to send oil and the gas to the export. But in the mining sector, it's not enough. Let me also briefly inform you about the features specific to the mining sector. Access to the land is the starting point for the mineral exploration and the mining process. Ownership of the subsoil resources needs to be legally specified. The state-specific mineral rights generally is the exploration of mining license in exchange for the license holders undertaking exploration or the development work. And as I said, there's the three types of the contract, but the mining sector mostly focuses on the license and the concession agreement. Most exploration license for minerals contain the presumptions that company funding anything will have the right of the first refusal on its development. For mining, unlike for oil and the gas, established practice including the offering exploration on first come, first served base due to the lack of the both geological information and the investor interest. But in oil, it started the negotiation between the host country and the also investors. There is also while the first come and the first service will continue to be appropriate for areas that are largely unexplored, good practice is for the government to offer license on the competitive bidding base in the station where geological data are available and where there are strong indication of the multiple and competing interests. And just most of the feature of the specific, I can also add something, but I am going to post my the comment about your group work. You can also find this information in the reading material. I want to stop here because our time almost over. And in the end, one more time, I would like to ask you, is there any questions, any reflection, any comments are welcome. And you can also send me in your system your email, your comment, your request anytime. Please don't hesitate. Ask me if you need some clarification, if you need some additional materials. I'm open all time for your question, for your reflection. And thank you so much one more time for your participation, for your the attention, and for your reflection and the comments. We will meet again in a week. And here I want to ask the Hazal, maybe she has in the end some final remarks.
Thank you, Gubad. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yes, next week we meet again, and you can find the next week readings at the file folder week 2. And if you have any troubles to reach any materials, please send me a message. Thank you, Gubad.
Thank you so much, Hazal. I am going to upload my presentation as well in the reading materials. You can also find the video presentation and the PDF presentation. And please find the time for the reading Michael Ross publication about the politics of the oil and the gas. And have a great week ahead. See you in a week. Bye. Have a great day as well.